What's up, my people? This is the Thriving Money Show. I'm Marvin Mitchell. I'm your host, 18-year Hall of Fame financial advisor. My goal is to help you to be financially free. And what I mean by financially free is I want your passive income to exceed your expenses, which actually creates true financial freedom. But today is going to be a little bit different, right? Today, I'm not talking about quote unquote finances, but what I am talking about is something that leads to finances, and it leads to improving your life in so many different areas. And I've been reading a book that I had to go back to called Outwitting the Devil. And this book, Outwitting the Devil, by Napoleon Hill, basically take you back. Supposedly, this book was written in the 1930s, but he never published it until not too long ago, in the 2000s. It was published, but a lot of things that he said still rings true today. So if you don't know Napoleon Hill, I believe he wrote the book. Did he write? I think he wrote Think and Grow Rich. Yeah, he wrote Think and Grow Rich. So you all know Think and Grow Rich if you don't know anything else. So let's talk about this really quick. I'm gonna talk about chapter 4 in this book that was talking about the drifter and the non-drifter. I just talked about this on my coaching call, and I was like, you know what? Let me talk about this same thing on my YouTube channel today. So if you're watching me on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe, share this with a few people. In fact, put some fireballs in the comments just so that I know that you're listening. If you're watching me on Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook or anywhere else, just put some fireballs in the comments just so that I can know that you're listening. So when I go back and read the comments, I know that you're here. So we're going to dive into this. What is the non-drifter versus the drifter? So the drifter, the drifter. There are character traits that are a drifter, according to Napoleon Hill and Outwitting the Devil. Number one, I want you to really think about yourself through this process as I'm reading this, and also share this with 5 or 10 people and press done. And then I want you to ask yourself, are you a drifter or a non-drifter? So this is what the drifter does. He will be conspicuous by his lack of self-confidence. He will never accomplish anything requiring thought and effort because they don't want to think. They're drifting. He spends all he earns and more too if he can get the credit. He will be sick or ailing for some real or imaginary cause and call into high heaven if he suffers the least physical pain. He will have little or no imagination. He will lack enthusiasm and initiative to begin anything he is not forced to undertake. And he will plainly express his weakness by taking the line of least resistance whenever he can do so. He will be ill-tempered and lacking in self-control or his emotions. His personality will be without magnetism, and it will not attract other people. He will have opinions on everything, but accurate knowledge of nothing. He will be the jack of all trades, but good at none. He will neglect to cooperate with those around him, even those on whom he must depend on for food and shelter. He will make the same mistakes over and over and over again, never profiting by that failure. He will be narrow-minded and intolerant on all subjects, ready to crucify those who may disagree with him. He will expect everything of others, but be unwilling to give little or nothing in return. He may begin many things, but he will complete nothing. He will be loud in his condemnation of his government, but he will never tell you definitely how it can be improved. He will never reach decisions on anything if he can avoid it. And if he is forced to decide, he will reverse himself at the first opportunity. He will eat too much and exercise too little. That got a lot of you, didn't it? I know a lot of it got me. It's getting me. He will gamble if he can do it on the cuff. He will criticize others who are succeeding in their chosen calling. I want y'all to think about that. You criticizing other people who are succeeding in their calling, and you're expecting yourself to succeed. When in reality, your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference on if you're talking about somebody else or if you're talking about yourself. So if you're gossiping and criticizing others Your subconscious looks at it as if you're talking and gossiping about yourself. And as a man thinks in his heart, and so is he. And death and life is in the power of the tongue. And you're supposed to speak those things that are not as though they are. So your tongue is powerful. In brief, the drifter will work harder to get out of thinking than most others work in earning a good living. He will tell a lie rather than admit his ignorance on any subject. If he works for others, he will criticize them to their backs and flatter them to their faces. So that is a non-drifter, you all. And I want y'all to think about that. Does that apply to you in any of those areas? Have you just been going through life drifting? I know, there are so many things that just have us just not thinking for ourselves, like the educational system and sometimes even the religious system. I hate to say it, but what it does, it raises people to be right or wrong. It raises people to not be creative and robs you of your identity and your ideas that are in your life. And it robs you from thinking for yourself. And if you don't learn to think for yourself, you'll never succeed. In fact, the people who work for everyone, you're working for the drifters. I mean, you're working for the non-drifter. These are the ones who can think outside of the box, who can create strategies for you to live within those strategies, right? So what sticks out to you? I want you to write that down in the comments if you get a chance. When you look at the drifter, what is something that you know that you're drifting on, something that you know you need to be working on, something that you know that you haven't put in your all into? Have you been? Let me tell you this, you can work hard. You can work as hard as possible and still be a drifter. You can work hard and still be lazy because you're working hard just doing what somebody is telling you to do, but you never stop to take the time to think for yourself to say, what can I do? Or not even for myself, how can I make the company better? How can I raise my position in life? And it's not just about money, you all. It can be about your health. It can be about your relationships. It can be about anything. What are you drifting in? And I had to, recently I had to, to be candid with you, take a look at this and take this serious, because it's like, man, I am a very non-drifter in my professional life. I'm a multimillionaire, did 8 figures in a year. I got the nice house. I got the cars. I mean, I got all of that. You know what I mean? I can do a lot of things, travel whenever I want to. I can do a lot of things financially in which I'm a non-drifter. But there are some places in my personal life that I knew that I can say I was a drifter. There's places in my personal life as far as me establishing friendships and being intentional with that, and being consistent in a relationship, and understanding myself more on why do I respond to the way that I respond to certain things. Like, why do I not get emotional sometimes when I probably should be emotional to certain things? Like, I had to truly ask myself this, and it's like it came down to the fact that I was drifting in a lot of those areas, and I really avoided having to think about a lot of things in my personal life because I covered myself with the work, and the work is what made me successful. But at the same time, just because the work made me successful, that's not an excuse for not having just of a great personal life as I did in a working life. Being rich is not just about money. Being rich is also an inside out thing. And quite frankly, when I decided that I wasn't going to be a drifter in those areas, I sought therapy. I got help, and it's not even that I was doing bad things, quote unquote, but it's just like, there's no way. I got what it takes to have the best personal life ever, right? I've done it in business. I can do it in my personal life, but sometimes I get so caught up in thinking about business that I ignore some of the things that are happening in my personal life. And I said, I can't drift on that. So I'm going to have accountability. I gave myself accountability. I had to I hired somebody that was going to be a person that was going to help me to truly master self-mastery in a personal life as well. So my thing to you is, look, if you know that you're a drifter, you probably just need the accountability in those areas. If it's exercising, it's working a gym. If it's working, your personal life, different areas you might be struggling with, that's all right. Get some help. Because guess what? The same way that you've been a drifter, all you have to do is stop being a drifter, and then you can be a non-drifter. So let's talk about what a non-drifter is. Here is a description of a non-drifter as described in this same book. How many people feel what I'm saying? If you feel what I'm saying, put some fireballs in the comments. Am I speaking to somebody in this room? So it's a non-drifter. He is always engaged in doing something definite through some well-organized plan, which is definite. He has a major goal in life to which he is always working, and many minor goals, all of which lead toward his central scheme. The tone of his voice, the quickness of his step, the sparkle in his eyes, the quickness of his decisions clearly mark him as a person who knows exactly what he wants and is determined to get it, no matter how long it may take or what price he must pay. If you ask him a question, he gives you a direct answer and never falls back on evasions or resorts to superfluge. He extends many favors to others, but accepts favors sparingly or not at all. He will be found up front, whether he is playing a game or fighting a war. If he does not know the answer, he will say so frankly. He has a good memory, never offers an alibi for his shortcomings. He never blames others for his mistakes, no matter if they deserve the blame or not. So you know what that means? They're not blaming others. They're not criticizing others. They're not saying, well, the government. It's the person. It's the people. You know what I'm talking about? The man. It's because of this. It's because of that. No matter what. They never blame others for the mistake. They take 100% responsibility. He used to be known as a go-getter, but in modern times, he is called a go-giver. You will find him running the biggest business in town, living on the best street, driving the best automobiles, and making his presence felt wherever he happens to be. He is an inspiration to all who come into contact with his mind. Notice I said all that comes into contact with his mind. So they developed their mind, right? They didn't just rely on being superficial. There's a lot of superficial people that are out here. He is an inspiration to all who come into contact with his mind. A major distinguishing feature of the non-drifter is this. He has a mind of his own and he uses it for his purpose. So there are many traits of a non-drifter as opposed to those. There are the traits of a drifter compared to a non-drifter. You got to study them all and you have to determine what hits you and what makes the biggest difference in your life. You see, the world doesn't like independent thinkers. When you begin to think independently, guess what? You're going to lose some friends. You're going to lose some people in your life. You may not be part of the 100% cool group. You may not get as accepted as much because you're thinking independently. Anytime that you think independently that goes beyond the norm, the people who don't understand it will sometimes think you're crazy and they will sometimes back up off of you and say, you're not doing the right thing. So you got to understand. What you got to understand is when I first started talking about my life insurance that I'm talking about, becoming your own bank. This was 12 years ago. So you got to understand at the time, people were like, oh, that's the devil. What are you talking about? What are you talking about that? So the first thing they did was they ridiculed me. The next thing they did was they looked at me like I was doing something wrong. Then the next thing they did was they started to be curious. And then as the years went along, they started to ask questions, not to me, not because of pride. They didn't ask questions to me. They asked questions. They started to research it. Next thing they know, they started hearing other people talking about it. The next thing that they did was they copied me. So you got to understand, the world is never going to accept what's not your norm, but you got to understand that you are an individual. You are nature's greatest miracle. Nobody can talk like you, walk like you, eat like you, sleep like you, drink like you, and I can go on and on. Even if you're an identical twin, you don't have the same personality as that identical twin. And you got to understand that you have to be willing to stand up on your own. You have to be willing to stand up for what you believe in. You have to be willing to have courage and speak out against injustice, even if it costs you societal being popular in society. You see, a lot of times we battle with wanting to be approved and wanting to do the right thing and do what's right and sometimes we want to follow the norm on what everybody is doing instead of stepping up on faith and you got a new idea that's in your head because you took the time to think about it, but because everybody else isn't doing it, you want to follow the crowd instead of do it yourself. So everything was built on innovation, right? When I built my financial firm recently, I really built it on half the people in my company work for the Philippines. And you got to understand, I have retired clients. And yeah, it was a fear that a lot of people have. Well, what do people think that, oh, you hiring people from out of the country, you outsourcing this? What do people think that well, people ain't going to talk to them because they don't understand. They may not talk good English. I heard every single thing in the world on why this didn't work. And then when it worked, now those same people are coming to me saying, can you teach me what you did? You see, they never are gonna, people have to see things. See, I'm from Missouri. I'm from the show me state. Sometimes you got to show people something for them to believe that it's real, right? You got to show people something for it to believe that it's real. But guess what? There's a first mover's advantage. You can't wait for somebody to show you. Sometimes you got to be the one that see things. What is faith? Faith is the substance for things hoped for, and it's the evidence of things that are not seen, which means with faith, you got to act on something before you see it. And then the rest of the world, which is 97% of the world, are drifters. See, when you become a non-drifter, the drifter works for the non-drifter. The drifter takes orders from the non-drifter. The drifter, they go on and they try to live their lifestyle. And yes, they smart. They worked hard. They got the education. But it's possible to work hard and still be lazy at the same time if you're not working with your mind. And taking the time to think and be an independent thinker is one of the easiest things that you can do. But it's also one of the hardest things that we can do because we get so distracted. We want to be the jack of all trades. We want to be the master of all. And we want to be the jack of trades of all and be the master of none. That's what we want to do. But if we want to grow, we got to think independently. You got to build something like nobody else is building it. You got to come up with an idea that nobody else is thinking about. You got to want to improve something that exists in a way that nobody else has thought about and done before. You got to maybe invent something that nothing else has existed before. This is one of the secrets to success, being intentional. So when I think about this, and I'm about to wrap up, this ain't gonna be a long one today, y'all. I gotta pack up. I'm traveling for Hawaii tomorrow, so I'm leaving out at 5 a.m. So I'm tired. I've been in meetings back to back all day. Right now we at the end of the day, and I'm still bringing the energy. Why? Because of purpose. That somebody out here needed to hear this message. There's somebody out here that's been a drifter in life, that you haven't been taking action, that you've been waiting for perfection to happen, that you've been waiting to start while the person who you've been criticizing have failed 100 times. But on the 101st time, they became successful while you were still making your grand plan to just do one thing. You've been a procrastinator. And procrastination is the assassination of your destination. You've been wanting to wait to take action because you're waiting for the perfect time and the perfect opportunity. Well, I got a newsflash. The perfect opportunity never comes. If you want success in life, you got to act now. If you want success in life, you have to do it now. You got to take advantage of the opportunity of the lifetime during the lifetime of the opportunity. You got to make sure that you're not poor. What does poor mean? Passing over opportunities repeatedly because you're constantly waiting for something to happen or for a sign. You're waiting on the sign. Well, I'm giving you the sign right now. If you've been waiting on the sign, this is your sign that you need to take action. Whatever plan that you've been holding on to that you haven't taken action on, whether it's getting fit, whether it's eating better, whether it's forming that business, whatever it is, I'm telling you, men in an old relationship that might be broken, where you know that you did something wrong, or maybe you need to apologize, or maybe you need to accept 100% responsibility, whatever it is. Maybe you need to be more involved in your children's life. And maybe something is holding you back, but you got the power to change that. Whatever it is, now is that time, you all, for us to step up. You needed to hear this message today and take that action that we needed to take. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what action you need to take. You know exactly what you've been procrastinating on. Maybe you need to clean up something that's been sitting there junky for just too long. Maybe you need to get your spiritual life back in order. You know what it is. You don't have to tell me. You can keep it to yourself if you want to, but I know it's there because you know why? We all are working on something. None of us are perfect. There are traumas that all of us have, even stemming back from a childhood that maybe you've never resolved. But now it's the time. I'm giving you the sign. I'm giving you what you need to understand that this is your destiny. You were meant to be the head and not the tail, the lender and not a borrower, above and not beneath. You were meant to speak powerful words. Speak those things that are not as though they are. You were meant to think bold things. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So if you're a drifter, that means you're not thinking about anything unless except maybe destruction. And you got to be intentional about thinking about something great. You got to think about things that are good, things that are pure, things that are of good report. You got to control your mind, be the captain of your mind, the captain of your soul. That's you. You are in more control than you think of your life. Your outer circumstances is a direct reflection of your mind. And guess what? We have the power to change that mind. There's another book that you can read called The Four Agreements. I highly recommend that book too. That's a great book to understand that even when people do you wrong, that's not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of looking at themselves. They got a problem, right? But you know what? Now it's the time for change. Now it's the time to make some things happen in your life. Now it's the time to get up and have faith, but understand at the same time that faith without works is dead. Faith without works is dead. I don't care how much faith you say you have if you don't take the action to actually make something happen. Stop being a sluggard. Stop being lazy. Get up off your feet and make something happen and do something about it because you have the power to do something about it. We can sit here and say all day, oh man, I wish I had some abs, or oh, I wish I would have ate better. I wish I would have. When you make a decision, I've lost in the past, 10 or 11 days, I've lost 11 pounds. I started eating better, and that ain't even a complete fast. I just started eating better, didn't drink alcohol. Well, I did drink it one time, but for the most part, I wasn't drinking alcohol. Just started caring about what's in my body because it affects my mind and my spirit, because I care about what's in my mind and my spirit, because my mind and my spirit is going to be a inner manifestation of what my outward is going to show. So I'm dealing with me on the inside out. I got me a therapist, started talking to a therapist because I said, you know what? I can't tell other people to do something that I'm not doing. And it's not just about what success looks like on the outside. It's also about what success looks like on the inside, right? I got to worry about my internal success, and it's not about money. You got to understand being rich is more than about having money. Being rich is about being rich in the areas that truly matter, and that's your spirit and that's your soul. So you all, what I'm saying is that find you somebody who's rich in the areas that you pour in. If you got a lot of money, you don't got to seek somebody that got a whole lot of money. That's fine if you do, but seek somebody who can complement you and help you be a support system in that particular area, right? Shoot. And sometimes it's okay. Find you somebody that can support you if you need to, but you gotta be aligned. Is a partnership, whether it's a relationship, friendship, whatever it is, you need partnerships in your life, right? It's the people that you're around. So with that being said, y'all have been great. We're going to outwit the devil. We're going to have freedom. We're going to succeed. We're going to go out and get this passive income that's going to exceed our living expenses. We're going to go out and we're going to make money, but at the same time, we're going to be happy. We're going to enjoy our life. In the meantime, we're going to travel. We're going to have freedom. We're going to have great relationships. We're going to have comfort. We're going to have peace. No longer are we sabotaging ourselves. Not anymore. Now it's the time. Now it's the season. We're going to make it happen, and we're going to go out and dominate, y'all. Make sure you like and subscribe my channel on YouTube. Make sure you check out the Thriving Money Show on YouTube. Check me out, y'all. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Because again, I believe that somebody's in this room today needed to hear this message, and somebody's life is going to be changed. So share this with some friends because they might need the message as well. This is a show that we help you to make, multiply, and manage your money. And we help you to do it in record time and change your mindset from a debtor or a saver to a wealth creator. This is where we help you to create passive income that exceeds your living expenses to create financial freedom. This is the Thriving Money Show, and I'm Marvin Mitchell. I'm out. Peace out.